This time, we know the playbook. At least we should, if we know our history. You see, the United States Department of Education just launched a national portal to report teachers, schools, workplaces that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Translation: if you believe in true history, not the whitewashed BS that they've been teaching us, you could be investigated, fired, or even shut down. Sound familiar? It should. You remember the Daughters of the Confederacy? They did this in the early 1900s, rewriting history to erase slavery's truth and push the lie that the Civil War was about states' rights. Yeah, their rights to own slaves. But they don't want you knowing that. Now, the Moms of Liberty are running the same game. They're not even changing the game plan, and the government is backing them. You see, back then, it wasn't illegal. It was just wrong. But now, it's illegal, and it's time we fight back with the law. We're coming after them for lying about our history. There's so much we lost by not knowing how brilliant black people was, and they did that on purpose. It was not something by mistake. On purpose, they had a strategy to destroy our history. They did not teach it because they didn't want us to become brilliant. They wanted us to become mediocre and think that we weren't capable or able to do anything but be employees. They didn't let us know we had brilliant doctors and lawyers and inventors. They just taught us about the people who was always fighting for equality and those who ended slavery. It was always to benefit them. But once the world started realizing the truth, they went after us and started calling things DEI to destroy everything that we had just built to be able to let our people know they're brilliant. The truth shall set you free. But no, they want to imprison us with their lives, or no more. We're building a class action lawsuit against the United States government, the school boards, and all those pushing this attack on our history. But we need you. We need you to sign a petition that's in my bio. Donate to help us organize this lawsuit. Get the best lawyers. Go over the laws that we know that they're breaking and make them pay for those crimes. And the ones they're trying to start to do on top of that. See, this goes way back to 1954. You can say all the way back to 1877, but you know how people are. You weren't alive in 1867? That was so long ago. Well, the laws were created in 1954. So, we got a lot of people still alive, and they've been messing with our right to know the truth about true history forever. And now that the laws have existed, and they're putting things in place once again, we should fight back. The law is on our side, so join the fight. Sign, donate, and share. Once we have enough people signed up, possibly for a lawsuit, then we can seek a lawyer. If you donate, we can be able to find the best lawyer, put it together, and make it happen. It's about time. We stop them in their tracks for messing with our history. The world should know the contributions we've had to this country, 100%. It should not be, in my opinion, black history. It should be American history. It should not be woven to just show white people. If anything, the people who fought for this country deserve to be talked about, and not just 1 month. It is American history. It should be talked about 24/7. Join the fight. Sign, donate, share.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing fine wherever you are today. As you know, this is presenter Chintek Stories, and I'm hoping you're doing super great. Now, for the longest time, you know very well, there are a couple of things that white folks have been trying to push towards black people. One of them, of the most contemporary things that are happening in the United States, is they want black folks on the street, but black folks won't give them a chance. Right now, what they're doing, they're trying to push so hard. They're trying to squeeze black people to the corner. They're trying to squeeze black people so much. And I don't think black people are letting the guard down so easily as they are thinking. Right now, they are embarking on black history. They don't want anything to do with black history. They don't want black history being taught. They don't want black history being said anywhere. There is nothing like inclusion when it comes to teaching about, our different histories, because it's true, we have different histories. And that part of American history that they don't want you to talk about is the black history. And we can't talk about American history without talking about the black history, because it is the black history that birthed American history. So it is hypocritical at the same time when teachers are being fired for trying to teach about the black history, because it is considered teaching children to be violent, or teaching kids or teaching youth to be resentment. Why is it that you term it? Why do you have to criminalize black history? Why do you have to make it look like it is something which is wrong? Why not try to make your history as something which is better, as something which is good? One of the things that I do in this channel is talk about contemporary things that are happening in the United States. And as you can see, for the longest time, with black history, I've always tried to be pressed. I've always tried to be hindered. And from all that, we get to know that it is our responsibility as youths, you as a parent, it is your responsibility to teach your kids, to learn more about their history, to learn and know that their ancestors were great. It is not what we're being told about, right? The achievements that great our ancestors did, it's also important. So I feel like it is our responsibility indeed. As time goes, you get to learn that they're trying so much to suppress the black history, so that you and I don't get to learn, or don't get to get the full picture of what's happened. I want us to watch this video, and I've said much, but I want us to watch this video. It is so revealing. If you're watching us for the first time, I'll ask you to subscribe to the channel, and I'm also thankful for all my subscribers who are supporting me, all those who are donating through my Cash App, all those who are sending me super thanks. Just know that I highly appreciate what you're doing. Now let's get back and watch the video. As you know, I'll be back with my commentary.
A West Ada school district teacher is being told to remove 2 signs of inclusion from her middle school classroom because the school district says they violate policy.
And now she's sharing her story. Brad Holmes talked to her about what happened.
My building administration came to me during my lunch period and told me that they needed to be taken down by the end of the day. They told me that they were in violation of district policy because in today's political environment, they're considered a personal opinion.
Did they say somebody complained about them?
No, I asked if anyone had complained about them, and they said no. We just want to protect you from that if that were to happen.
In this political environment,
Mm-hmm.
that is not acceptable.
Yeah, I was told a couple things. That everyone is welcome here is not something that everybody believes. So that's what makes it a personal opinion.
You were told this, that not everybody believes everyone is welcome.
Right.
Okay. And who told you this? Who was the one saying that not everyone believes this?
My building administration and district personnel.
Eli, what did your dad do for a living? Postal worker for years. Had you been doing any volunteer work at the hospital? No, but when he was a kid, he was a medic for the Freedom House Ambulance Service. That's a good one. I will be in as soon as I can. Thank you. You guys are legends. Sure looks like ST elevation.
I showed those 2 videos because I want to go ahead and just declare something. Okay? This is why we should have executed all of those traitors after the Civil War. This is why. We should have crushed them. Not just beaten them, but arrested them, tried them, convicted them, and sentenced them to death. We should have. We should have made a clean sweep. Clean sweep. The phrase "the South will rise again" should have been met with some law enforcement. And if the people within law enforcement are sympathetic to them, arrest their bitch asses too. Because what we have been dealing with ever since is this aggrievement that the South got their ass whooped. We have been fed this false history that entails that it wasn't about slavery, it's about states' rights to own fucking human beings. Don't get me wrong, the North was not rainbows and happiness about this shit either. They didn't give a fuck either way. Abraham Lincoln did not give a fuck whether or not there was slavery or not slavery. He just wanted to preserve the youth. And he even stated this. So here's the thing. Why don't we try this for a change? All the states that seceded, give them back. Give them to the South. Make all of these fucking white supremacists and racists move their ass to these 12 states or whatever. Give them back. Let them be able to say that inclusion isn't wanted here. All people are not welcome. Give them all those states. They can go back to be calling the Confederate States of America. Leave the rest of America to us. Give them back. Give them the fuck back. Let them have it. They can have their own government. They can elect Donald Trump president for life until his ass keels over from that widowmaker heart attack that's been chasing his ass. Whatever. Make J.D. Vance you can put Trump on your fucking flag. Go ahead. Go away. Go away. That way we don't have to be polluted with your fragile fucking feelings about, oh, woe is me. My great grandpappy, Cornpone Beauregard, fought for the Confederates and he's treated like shit. Yeah, he is. Because he's a fucking traitor. He's a fucking traitor. But you know what? You can have all of that down south. All of it. But you will not have the United States. You will not have any of the backing of the United States. All military bases, all federal military bases should be closed down in these Confederate states and moved up north. Pete Hegseth can be your Secretary of Defense. Make do with whatever the fuck you have. You have a whole lot of volunteers and reps. Go ahead. We will not be your trade partners. In fact, we will treat you the same way Reagan treated the fucking Soviets. It's a Cold War. Period. That way y'all can stop fucking polluting the rest of us with your bullshit. That way you can stop. You can stop. At the end of the day, that's all this comes down to. That's it. You know that, right? That's it. The fragile feelings of people that felt like they should be in charge all the goddamn time. Well, we'll give you all of the states that seceded, we'll give them to you. Give people time enough who do not believe in your bullshit to move the fuck out. And then our federal government will offer them subsidies for buying a new house or starting a new business here outside of the Confederate States of America. We will not be your trade partners. You trade with other people, that's fine, but I'm pretty sure, if the rest of the world finds out that, oh, those are the people that believed in that Southern strategy shit, yeah, we're not going to trade with them. You're going to have Russia and North Korea as your motherfucking trade partners. The rest of us will go on and try to have some sort of a normal life. Marjorie Taylor Greene probably did have it right. There should be a national divorce. But you motherfuckers shouldn't get away with being the vocal minority and we give you everything you want. No, you will have the states that seceded and that's it. That's it. The rest of us will look at you as you literally slowly dissolve. And that you eat your motherfucking self alive. When you all of a sudden discover that, hey, I was MAGA, but I wasn't like that. I didn't want to hang out with the Nazis. Our music, no. You will pay a steep tax just to play our music. You can have your own radio stations with all that tight jeans wearing Morgan wailing up there you want. Morgan can even say the N-word all the fuck he wants. Kid Rock he can write your national anthem. You won't use ours. Sporting events, make your own. Make your fucking own. Because we're done with this. We're done with having to fucking hide our goddamn history because your fucking feelings feel bad. The fact that a school district told a teacher that all are welcome here in this political environment could be dangerous shows you we are fucking appealing to the wrong fucking people. The loud, vocal, ain't never done shit, ain't gonna do shit fucking minority. So give them what they want. You want your own country? You can have it. You just won't have it with us. Our tax dollars will not go to you. We talk about build that wall across that whole motherfucking Confederate border. All of it. From Texas up to Virginia. And we will watch as you drown. We will watch as you choke on your mitts. And we will not help you in the fucking least bit. Maybe if y'all keep fucking and fuck your way out of this goddamn mentality, maybe we can talk about bringing your ass back to the table. But for right now, no. No. I'm tired of thinking about my kids and grandkids living in a country where, oh, inclusivity, diversity is a fucking problem. Is a fucking problem. You want to teach them goddamn dumbass yard apes of yours that they're superior guy, but leave them where the fuck they are. Let them try to find work within the Confederacy. We don't need to be brought down because of you dumbass people. We don't. If America's ever going to go forward, we either have to recognize these people and breathe them the fuck out of existence, or we got to give them their own little homeland to where they can go over there with all their little racist ideology and bullshit and stay there. Maybe that's it. Maybe we do need a national divorce. But y'all don't get a chance to come in and use our federal dollars to adhere to your fragile motherfucking feelings. You can have the Confederate States and the Confederate Bucks. You can try to find trade partners all over the world, but I doubt you'll be able to do it. And you motherfuckers will be at war with all of Central America within, 6 months. 6 months. And the rest of the United States of America, we got nothing for you. Put all those people that believe in that bullshit, that vocal minority, put them in those states that fucking seceded from you. Give them that. And then when their Social Security and shit runs the fuck out because the Confederacy broke as fuck, when you decide to come back here, leave that bullshit where you at. Because we're done carrying you deadwood, driftwood American motherfuckers.
The Democrats are sinking, and I don't mind.
And Jill, let me ask you, what the fuck do you have to be happy about? You playing partisan politics as if your ass isn't a black man in America at your big ass age. You are over here cheering the demise of one political party as if that other political party is going to open their arms and accept you. While you over here cheering for the demise of one party, which by the way, they're not sinking, they're cracking. They're trying to figure out whether or not they can be Republican light or if they're actually going to be beholden to progressive ideas that people want to see done. They're not sinking, they're cracking. But why you over here cheering for that? The other fucking parties like the fucking virus, The Last of Us. The MAGA courtesans have completely overrun the Republican Party. They are now a bloater. They are now a fucking bloater. Impervious to factual information. Working off of no sort of plan whatsoever except maximum hurting of those who voted for them and those who support them. Oh, except for the billionaires. And here you are dancing as if your ass is going to get to a fucking, an invitation to their little party. The fuck you got to be happy about it? Because it is people such as yourself that will ignore one party to focus on another. When both of them are dog shit. Both of them, neither one of them have given a fuck about your black ass in your entire big ass age life. And you want the chaos. As if it won't hurt you. It will. It'll hurt all of us. This level of bullshit from the two major fucking political parties is bad for every working class person. Every paycheck to paycheck person, every person who has to worry about rent or fucking medicine, every one of us. While you over here dancing. Let me help you understand something, partner. Do you understand what happens if they burn this entire system down? What's at the heart of it? What the fuck is at the heart of it? Capitalism and racism. In other words, with no rudder whatsoever, the wolves are going to just eat everyone. It will be a zombie apocalypse. It really because they will tear every person down that they just don't like. And you don't think your black ass is at the top of the bucket list? Maybe instead of cheering on the demise of one party as if the other party isn't a cancerous fucking thing in the first place, maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, you should be trying to come up with a solution. Something that helps black folks in particular, but working class people in general, rather than dancing around like a fucking idiot.
Are you looking to start your own business? Well, look no further than Busy.com. Right now, we'll complete your LLC filing free. You just cover the state fee. Just provide us some basic info about your business and location, then select the plan with all the features and resources you need, from free registered agent service to a business banking account. With Busy, you don't just get a great offer, you get total peace of mind. So what are you waiting for? Launch your LLC in minutes with Busy. Get started today. Leave no sale behind with the world's best converting checkout from Shopify. Say goodbye to abandoned carts and hello to cha-chings in every channel. When it's time to sell more, it's time for Shopify. Start your free trial today.
Maybe you should be doing that. But I forgot. You think your proximity to whiteness is going to save you. Trust me, it won't. Because at the end of the day, they don't like you either. Neither one of them give a fuck about you. You best get your fucking head out of your ass. Because it's going to get you hurt. In the long run. You dumbass.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Honestly, from the observation of things and how you see all these things unraveling today in the United States, and remember I told you, and I've been telling you for the longest time, this is what I've been telling you. I know them folks are not going to rest until that time they see you let your guards down. Well, I'm here to encourage you again, black folks. Please do not let your guards down. It is a fight. Before giving up, just think about those so many years that we as youth today, we had to come a long way to understand and to learn the black history, to understand and to learn sorry, that our ancestors were robbed, that our ancestors were great, but later on the things that they came and told us are opposite. The things they came and told us didn't even help the black folk. And while they're trying to make American history independent, right? They're not trying to teach people about the black history. And for the longest time, this is a projection of fear. This is a projection that they don't want a black person to learn about their history. Because when a black person learns about their history, they may be powerful. And that's how they try to make it seem like any person who is trying to learn something related to African history or black history is a person who is a criminal. They're trying to criminalize the fact that you're getting to know the truth. And that's where they're banking on. While you feel like going to the street, I want you to think about the years that your ancestors have always tried to fight for the America, while other races only recognize black people when it's convenient to them, but when it's not convenient to them. How many times, and this is not out of hate, but it is just the truth, how many times have we heard white people try to tell black folks to go back to Africa? How many times when black people achieve things in the United States, they're now being called members of the United States, while they know damn well that black people were already in America even before the Columbus, right? But they still go away and do this. Those parts of history that they don't want you to learn is the fact that you getting to know the truth. And getting to know the truth, I believe that's the most powerful thing that a black person has ever heard. As they say, people perish because of lack of knowledge. Yes, black people especially some of us in the motherland. We have been perishing, like metaphorically perishing, because we don't know our history. How many black people you see around struggling with self-hate? Because the histories that they taught us never say their achievements. Maybe they just could mention a few, but don't mention the things that have been happening. I mean, the great picture or the great things that black people have been doing. They don't mention that. And this shows you how some of us grew with self-hate. Because when we listen to the stories of our great-grandfathers or our grandfathers, they would tell us that, a white man is a great guy. A white man is like a god. I saw the first aeroplane, and it was a white person that came out of the plane. And whoa, we thought that they came from heaven. We thought that they're gods, right? And even if you try to look at the 90s movies like The Gods Must Be Crazy, all these people are showing is that white people came and brought civilization to Africa. Because honestly, while I was watching the movie, it is so watching it as a kid, it was so entertaining. I could laugh. But right now, trying to view it as a person who have understood the true history, as a person who have understand how these people have whitewashed the black history and put theirs, when the white person comes with an aeroplane and drives these cars in this place, they were taken and looked as God. But they're not trying to tell you how these people have disrupted the African civilization, how people have disrupted the African way of life, how people used to live, the family system. All this came to change because a white person set their foot in Africa. So, majority of things that they don't want us to learn, or majority of things that they don't want us to know, it is inclusive of this. And it is at this time that you as a parent, we as youths, you as a youth, you are endowed to know that it is your responsibility to do the true research, to teach and to pass down, so that other generations don't come to grow with self-hate. A form of self-hate is seeing black women undesirable and seeing white women more desirable as compared to black women. If you want to believe that this is whitewash, put yourself back during the 1980s, not 1980s, but long 1917, all those times when those white folks were performing eugenics, when white genes or white people are so desirable as compared to black people. And a couple of things, including this, led to what is called the self-hate, because what they did is they tried to hide this from black folks so that you don't get to understand your true history, so that you don't get to understand what really your ancestors did, the great achievements that they did, so that you don't get to understand all that. That being said, that shows you how these people are working so hard to do that. And me looking at the things that are happening today, they're trying to suppress the black history. They don't want you to get to learn and understand things that are happening in the past. Because by you doing that, they know damn well that you're doing great. They know damn well that you have exposed the reality. They know damn well that you will be resentful for knowing the truth. So it is our role as black folks to go out there and tell them that we are not going to support you. At no point we are going to do that. So I hope this video finds you well wherever you're watching us from. As you know, these are presenter Agent Stories, and I'm hoping you're great. Thank you for those who have showed my support. Thank you for those who have just reached us 100k subs. I highly appreciate. Thank you for those people who have always sent me those home comments. I really thankful for what you're doing. As you know, this is a presenter G-Tech Stories, and I'm hoping to see you on my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony.
Don't just take classes, take charge. Start your comeback today at PurdueGlobal.edu.
Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty event is back with 50% off over 250 beauty steals. Don't miss beauty's biggest event.
Derek, this is very simple. I'm going to start with you, and that is, again, this is all about how do you attack the economic and the civil rights. And if people think that that's not what's going on, they clearly are not paying attention. It is very clear.
Hey, Roland, not only they're not paying attention, they don't understand history. This is not the first time individuals try to resegregate us. If you go back to the times of Reconstruction, when Frederick Douglass and those started passing the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment, folks were upset when Woodrow Wilson became president. Grand Dragon himself did not like what was going on. Then they formed the KKK. And so if folks don't understand what's going on, they're sleeping at the wheel. Here's the bottom line, Roland. If I may evoke the spirit of Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, we know what's going on. The real question is, what are we going to do about it? We got to do more than just stay silent. We got to show up and show out. We got to boycott. We got to protest. We got to let our voice be heard because our ancestors prayed too hard and prayed too long and suffered greatly for us to just stay silent. And so that's the real question. What are we going to do about it? And here, starting in Georgia, we've been doing a lot. We've been making our voice heard. We've been protesting. We've been boycotting Target and others. We just cannot stay idle because the future, Roland, is going to look back at this time and ask, what did we do in 2025? Not what Thurgood Marshall, not what Dr. King did. What did we do? And the question will be asked, and depending on what we do today, will determine that answer.
Julian, one of the reasons why we have to do what we do is we got to walk folks through what all this stuff means. And it literally is a civil rights, a legal, an economic, an educational assault. It is in all areas, and it is happening on the federal level, the state level, and the local level. And too many of our people are asleep at the wheel, focusing on other things, not realizing what is really going on. And if they don't wake up, it is literally going to be too late.
You know, Roland, one of the things that interests me is the way that this person, the president, has thrown everything, including the baby in the bathwater, in the mix. So on one hand, he's talking about getting rid of straws. On the other hand, let's look at the bottom line, and the bottom line is the economic issue. He said he was running because he wanted to fix the economy. He has done very little about the economy. So that's number one. Number two, you're right, there are a whole bunch of our people have lost their, minds, not paying attention. And you have to pay attention to what this man is saying that he's going to do. But if we paid attention, people would have read Project 2025 because he laid it all out there. This is what to do. Number three, I commend all the folks who are talking about boycotts, but let's be clear. Montgomery bus boycott was 381 days. 381 days. I love Brother Jamal. I know he's coming on. 30 days ain't gonna get it. 3 days ain't gonna get it. Lit ain't gonna get it.
No, Julian. I gotta stop you. Matter of fact, let me see. I gotta stop you, Julian. I know you real smart, but I gotta stop you.
our resolution rate was high. Like,
Cold gun with no rounds inside or dummy rounds. I take the gun out slowly, I turn on cock the pistol, bang, it goes up, she hits the ground.
26 disturbing movie accidents, 7 levels. This iceberg contains the most disturbing accidents and mishaps that have ever happened on movie sets. We will start with the close calls and near misses, and gradually move into Hollywood's most devastating accidents. Let's start at the tip of the iceberg.
Woo! Not bad!
Level 1. Scream, 1996. In the dramatic final confrontation of Scream, Sidney Prescott disguises herself in the ghost-based costume to ambush her boyfriend Billy, who turns out to be the villain. She launches herself out of a closet and stabs him twice with an umbrella. The stunt was carefully orchestrated, with Skeet Ulrich wearing a protective padded vest under his costume to absorb the impact of the umbrella, which had a retractable tip to give the impression of stabbing. But Sidney's stunt double couldn't see through the mask. When director Wes Craven called action, the double jumped out and stabbed Skeet twice. The first stab perfectly hit the protective pad, but the second missed the padding, striking him directly in the chest in the worst possible place. As a child, Skeet had undergone open-heart surgery, leaving a stainless steel wire in his chest that would cause excruciating pain when touched. That umbrella happened to land in exactly that area, causing him to scream out in agonizing pain. Thankfully, Skeet walked out of the situation fine, but the incident could have ended up with a serious and potentially devastating injury. Craven ultimately decided to keep the take in the movie, believing Ulrich's genuine pain heightened the scene's raw intensity and helped mislead audiences into thinking Billy was truly dead. Only, this is a horror movie, and everybody who's seen the Scream movies knows the killer always comes back for one final scare.
Careful. This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
The authentic pain that Skeet showed in the scene made the movie into what it ultimately became, increasing the intensity and raw honesty. The Last Samurai, 2003. Tom Cruise has made a career out of death-defying stunts, but the most dangerous part of shooting The Last Samurai was nothing like hanging off a plane or being underwater for 6 minutes. It was a sword-fighting scene that almost left him headless. The sequence involved Cruise and his co-star Hiroyuki Sanada mounted on mechanical horses, simulating a high-speed clash where Sanada's character swings a sword at Cruise's neck. Cruise, of course, refused to use a stunt double. He had total trust in Sanada's martial arts expertise, but he didn't anticipate a technical problem.
Okay, take a breath. I want to do it at speed 48.
As the mechanical horses charged toward each other, Sanada's horse failed to stop at the programmed distance, propelling him much closer to Cruise than anyone intended. With the momentum carrying the sword towards Cruise's neck, Sanada recalled, "Tom's neck was right in front of me, and I tried to stop swinging my sword, but it was hard to control with one hand." Ultimately, the blade stopped just 1 inch from Cruise's throat, and that was purely because of Sanada's years of martial arts training and split-second reflexes. The crew members, however, reportedly screamed, believing Cruise's head would fly off.
Here's how to tap into Amazon's billion-dollar book market using AI in 4 5 puppies a day and have less.
Now You See Me, 2013. In the movie Now You See Me, illusionist Henley Reeves performs an incredible stunt in which she frees herself from shackles in a water tank as piranhas hover above. And yet, despite the intensity of the stunt, actress Isla Fisher insisted that she had to do it herself, a choice she would come to regret. She knew all about the risks, but for months, Fisher trained to hold her breath for extended periods, even practicing with restraints. But when it came time to shoot the scene, the chain connecting her ankles and wrists became entangled in the tank's grates, trapping her underwater in an extremely dangerous situation.
Dumb jokes while she was underwater. That was probably a good idea, especially because she did almost drown.
And I said he'd try to get into the tank and upstage me.
Of course, Fisher began banging on the glass walls in genuine panic, but the crew initially mistook her distress for extremely convincing acting. But she had no access to the safety diver off camera or the emergency kill switch designed to drain the tank in 70 seconds, and her panic was rapidly depleting her oxygen. The team had not decided on a safety signal, which just made the situation even worse, leaving her unable to communicate the urgency. The director, Louis Leterrier, later revealed that Fisher held her breath for nearly 3 minutes during the ordeal and only freed herself seconds before she would have lost consciousness, making escape far less likely than a potentially devastating end. Level 2. Rust, 2021. On October 21st, 2021, Alec Baldwin fired a Colt .45 revolver during a rehearsal for the Western film Rust at Bonanza Creek Ranch in New Mexico, fatally striking cinematographer Helena Hutchins in the chest and injuring director Joel Souza in the shoulder.
Now, wait a second. If I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you.
The crew had been preparing a scene in which Baldwin's character, Harlan Rust, practiced a cross draw from a pew inside a church. According to the script's third act, the sequence involved Rust and his grandson evading enemies in a shootout that tore the church apart. But the rehearsal itself focused on blocking and technical setup, coordinating camera angles with Hutchins and Souza. Baldwin had been told that the gun was cold, which simply means it was safe to use.
Cold gun with no rounds inside or dummy rounds. Cosmetic rounds. No flash. I take the gun out slowly, I try to cock the pistol, bang, it goes over, she hits the ground.
But what he didn't know is that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, a newbie to the industry and the movie's armorer, had inadvertently introduced live ammunition onto the set and failed to follow basic firearm safety protocols. She did not check the gun before handing it to Baldwin, unaware that there was not a dummy cartridge inside, but an actual bullet. During the rehearsal, Baldwin removed the gun from its holster, stated, "So I guess I'm gonna take this out, pull it, and go bang," and discharged the weapon without intentionally pulling the trigger, according to his account. Hutchins, standing 2 feet from the muzzle without protective gear, collapsed after telling a crew member, "That was no good. That was no good at all." The story instantly became a worldwide topic, but more and more information was released, painting a picture of a tragedy that could have been avoided multiple times. Just earlier that week, the crew had reported 3 accidental prop gun discharges, including one involving Baldwin's stunt double, but no additional safety meetings were held to address the problem. Ultimately, Gutierrez-Reed was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 18 months in prison, while Baldwin faced 2 criminal trials, which he pleaded not guilty to. The production ultimately resumed in Montana in 2023, with Hutchins' widower Matthew serving as executive producer, and a total ban on functional weapons. But the movie's controversy never went away, even after it was completed. The Karate Kid Part 3, 1989. Toward the end of The Karate Kid Part 3, Mike Barnes, the antagonist of the movie, unleashes some brutal tactics to psychologically and physically destabilize our hero, Daniel LaRusso, in the finals of the All-Valley Karate Championship. But Sean Kanan, the actor playing Mike, was about to suffer a seriously worrying takedown of his own. Kanan insisted on performing his own high-impact stunts for these fight scenes, including repeated spin kicks, takedowns, and choreographed strikes designed to showcase Barnes' aggressive fighting style. But during shooting, he began experiencing severe leg pain, which he initially dismissed as routine muscle soreness from the demanding karate sequences. The pain only got worse and worse as the movie got deeper into filming, eventually leading to Kanan collapsing on set at the Dunes Casino. Kanan was rushed to the hospital where a doctor noticed his femoral artery became compromised by internal bleeding caused by the excessive stunts. And to make things worse, they warned him they might not be able to save his life as the blood pooling near the artery had created a ticking time bomb scenario. Even though he was undergoing emergency treatment, Kanan faced pressure from the studio to return to work within days to avoid recasting the role and spending more money. So against all medical advice, he discharged himself and resumed filming, performing nearly all his own stunts, including a high-speed car sequence, while still recovering. And the whole time, the studio refused to provide any accommodations or alterations for his condition. Despite that blatantly unfair situation, Kanan said that it forced him to confront mortality at age 23 and profoundly shaped his resilience going forward.
When it came time to take things to the next level, I knew that I had to make a website, and Wix was perfect for that. I'm Josh Harmon. I'm a musician, I'm a content creator, and I'm a sound effects artist. I wanted to create videos as universal as possible that had no language in them so that anyone could enjoy them, and that was how I came up with the idea.
Ghostland 2018. Taylor Hickson was just 19 when she was cast in Pascal Laugier's horror film Ghostland, a movie she thought would be her breakout. But one shooting day proved harder than she expected. The sequence required her to pound on a glass panel door with her fists while her face was positioned near the glass. Taylor felt uneasy about the idea, raising her safety concerns with director Pascal Laugier and one of the producers. But they promised her that the stunt was completely safe, encouraging her to hit the glass harder. Of course, she got so into the scene that the glass shattered during a take, propelling her head and upper body through the broken pane. Shards of glass lacerated the left side of her face. Taylor was immediately taken to the hospital to undergo emergency treatment for a deep wound that required 70 stitches. She later received laser and silicone therapies to minimize scarring, but the injury left her permanently scarred. The incident led to a lawsuit against the production company, the ironically named Incident Productions, claiming negligence, citing the failure to use safety glass, provide a stunt double, or implement adequate protective measures that could have prevented the incident. Hickson, who had just come off an appearance in Deadpool prior to the incident, said the scarring impacted her career prospects, leading to lost opportunities and a lot of emotional distress. Ultimately, she won the case, but the damage was done long before she got to court. Syriana, 2005. One particularly brutal scene in Syriana features George Clooney bound to a chair and violently beaten. But what audiences don't know is that the scene was just as torturous for Clooney and life-changing in the worst way.
Number 3 sound good to you? The purpose is to get the monks or whatever.
When the chair was kicked over, Clooney struck his head on the concrete floor, unknowingly tearing his dura mater, the protective membrane surrounding the spinal cord and brain that contains cerebrospinal fluid. At first, Clooney downplayed the injury, convinced it was a simple movie-making accident and nothing to be concerned about. But days later, he developed debilitating symptoms that he could not ignore, including migraines so severe he described them as the most unbearable pain I've ever been through.
And all the spinal fluid goes out, and your brain sinks in your head, and it's attached to all these nerve endings, and it's really unbearably painful.
His cerebrospinal fluid started leaking through his nose, a hallmark symptom of the tear, but it took weeks for doctors to diagnose the issue. For weeks and months, Clooney suffered chronic pain, memory loss, and prolonged spinal instability. He eventually had no choice but to undergo emergency surgery and a blood patch procedure where his own blood was injected into the dura to seal the leak. Despite treatment, he suffered recurring spinal issues, including arthritis and disc problems. The injury left him reliant on painkillers for months. contemplated offing himself during the worst phases. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, 2010 and 2011. In January 2009, David Holmes, Daniel Radcliffe's longtime Harry Potter stunt double since the Philosopher's Stone, was on set of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. The crew were rehearsing a scene in Godric's Hollow which would involve Harry Potter being violently thrown backward by an explosion caused by Voldemort's snake Nagini, who had possessed Bathilda Bagshot's corpse. To simulate the blast of that force, Holmes was rigged to a high-strength cable designed to yank him backwards onto a crash mat. But during the rehearsal, the cable system malfunctioned, suddenly propelling Holmes with way more force than anyone expected. David collided with the wall before landing on the mat, immediately fracturing his neck on impact.
As soon as I left the floor, as soon as I had the load hit me in the wires, I thought, that's too big.
He initially believed he'd only suffered minor injuries, concerned that complaining would just worry other people. But when he was asked to squeeze the stunt coordinator's hand, he realized he couldn't move his fingers no matter how hard he tried. As it turns out, the impact caused a C6-C7 spinal cord injury, paralyzing him from the chest down, and subsequent surgeries revealed a spinal cyst that further limited mobility in his arms, and all because of a freak accident. The stunt's complexity had left little room for error, requiring precise cable tension to mimic that explosive force. He had done these wirework stunts for years, but this was a much faster, violent motion. And after 8 movies, everyone was uncomfortably casual about safety. The injury ended Holmes' stunt career at age 22, though he transitioned to activism for stunt performer safety and founded Ripple Productions. Daniel Radcliffe remained a close friend, visiting him during rehabilitation and executive producing the 2023 HBO documentary, David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. While we're here, help us avoid an accident of our own and hit that subscribe button.
To say that I love this job is an understatement.
I've been on the data annotation platform for about 1.5 years now, and it's honestly been so amazing.
I've never worked with a company that can so accurately.
Level 3. Resident Evil, the final chapter, 2016. During the filming of Resident Evil, the last chapter in 2015, stunt performer Olivia Jackson was doubling for lead actress Milla Jovovich. They were due to shoot a fight scene, but the production decided to pivot at the last minute to a complex motorcycle sequence in rainy conditions. Jackson would have to ride the motorcycle toward a camera crane which was mounted on top of a car traveling the opposite way, timed just so that the crane would lift over her head as she passed. But during the final take, the camera operator delayed lifting the crane by 1 second, causing a catastrophic collision at 71 miles per hour. Hitting the crane at that force tore through her left arm, shattered her face, exposing her teeth through a skinless cheek, fractured her spine, ruptured neck arteries, and caused brain swelling. For 17 days, Jackson was in a medically induced coma and underwent multiple surgeries, including the total amputation of her arm. Long-term consequences included permanent paralysis on her left side, a dislocated shoulder, chronic pain, and the inability to continue her career as a stunt performer.
17 days later, I wake up to see my husband's face and my mother's face. Sorry.
Today, she requires ongoing rehabilitation and a $750,000 to $1 million surgery to address the extensive spinal damage. In 2019, Jackson sued producers Paul W.S. Anderson and Jeremy Bolt, alleging negligence and insufficient safety planning which contributed to the incident. The South African High Court ultimately found the stunt crew and director liable, saying that these last-minute changes reduced safety margins for a more exciting shot. But it turns out the production also did not have the right insurance, leaving Jackson reliant on South Africa's Road Accident Fund to help pay for her extensive treatment. She's since gone on record to criticize the producers for abandoning her financially while profiting from the film's $312 million global box office success. Transformers: Dark of the Moon, 2011. During the filming of Transformers Dark of the Moon on September 1st, 2010, Gabriela Cedillo, a 24-year-old aspiring actress working as an extra, was one of around 80 extras on set in Hammond, Indiana. The scene involved approximately 80 extras driving their personal vehicles in the background while stunt cars performed maneuvers in front. Gabriela was driving her 2006 Toyota at 50 miles per hour when a steel tow cable, which was being used to pull another vehicle in the stunt, snapped under tension. One of the brackets had been poorly welded, leaving it vulnerable. The cable whipped through her windshield, striking her in the head and causing catastrophic injuries. Gabriela was left with irreversible brain damage, requiring emergency surgery that removed a
Quick question. Have you heard about Wickify Wireless? It's simply unlimited plan costs only $80 a month for 2 lines. Setup is so simple. You can activate from...
I recently went public with the fact that I not only have $42,000 in credit card debt, but that I am filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And
this is why I like to talk about it.
your threshold for debt increases with time.
Just would never.
While you're sitting behind your screen judging me, I'm sitting over here absolutely free.
So somebody actually sent me a TikTok of this lady. She's $40,000 in debt, and they wanted me to react to it, I guess. So let's see what's going on.
I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. Okay, so let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul, and in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt, because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old, and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way, and I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job, and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank.
Now, I know a lot of people probably are like, oh my gosh, you did all of that trying to keep up with the man or blah, blah. I personally appreciate her level of honesty, because you just never know who is going through something similar, who just needs to hear from somebody else who probably went through the same thing, how this ended up affecting their life.
I got myself into credit card debt, or I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again.
It is.
And then I did.
Oh, okay.
And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my 3rd cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions, so your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around.
So pretty much what she's saying is her debt tolerance, whatever number that she was comfortable with at one point, it just got higher and higher the more debt she was getting. Oh, that's crazy.
So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy.
And that's a complete lie. Y'all, this is 2 separate things. But you as a person are not your debt. So I'm glad that she's saying that she felt like it was tied together, because how many people probably feel like that? Because we see the extremes that people will go through whenever they feel like, oh, I'm in debt or I don't have money, so I'm less valuable. You're still valuable, and you still have a purpose here on earth, whether you're rich or whether you're poor. And it really sucks hearing people say that they feel it's tied together, because you can always change your financial situation. You can. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it can be done. Even if you have a lot of money, having a lot of money doesn't make you better than the next person. So I just hate that people even feel like they're tied together.
As I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly, but money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. Over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore, because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances, and I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends, because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt.
It's true.
I know so many of us are in debt right now, and I need you to remember that money is not moral.
Yep.
You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation.
Funny, I just said that, but yes, let me let her cook.
The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breathe, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me.
I love
and
this.
I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it.
Yeah, right.
So moving forward.
Y'all, make sure you hit like and subscribe to the channel because it's free.
Okay? Now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card.
Y'all, let me know in the comments, does any of this sound like anybody you know, or is this a personal experience that you've had with money? A few things that she said so far that stuck out to me was that she ended up telling her friends about the situation because she didn't feel shame anymore. You know, a lot of the shame that people feel, I think, is because they feel like they're the only ones that struggle with running up credit cards or having a lot of loans or anything like that, or not being like financially where they want to be. But you'll be surprised how many people that are probably in your inner circle that are doing the same exact thing. You still don't believe me? The average credit card debt has reached $8,674 so far in 2024, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and the U.S. Census.
Shenyun brings 5,000 years of culture to the world stage.
Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
The show is so filled with light. It's exactly what this city needed. We needed to feel it in our bones.
I was feeling entranced, I must say, because I've never seen anything like this in my whole life.
It's really incredible to get a sense of Chinese culture and language and music and history all in one, and you feel like you're really getting a glimpse into thousands of years of Chinese culture.
It was just mesmerizing tonight. It was like living in a rainbow. The colors were so vibrant and alive. You just felt good inside. We were leaving here as high as a kite.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the finest dancing I've ever seen. Extraordinary. I mean, I grew up a dancer, but these girls and the men as well are phenomenal. The precision is so perfect. I could see their faces and their beautiful hands, and I mean, it was just breathtaking.
The virtuosity is incredible. It's like you're watching a dream. The performances.
Eurodata analyzed by USA Today. And you never know, she might have even helped some of her friends out just telling her story. And I'm not saying that if you don't want to, you should just be sharing your financial situation, because money is a very personal topic for many people, and I get that. But if these are like your close friends and you're really struggling with something, like if your relationship allows that and it feels like a safe space, then I get it. The real important thing is just making sure you're getting rid of that debt, regardless if you're telling someone about it or not.
Because I needed to hoard like a little squirrel every dollar that I had in my bank account, because it may never come back and there isn't enough. And what I'm learning through this process is why I repeated those patterns isn't because I have no willpower, I'm weak, I'm unintelligent, or any of those things. I'm unworthy. It's because my subconscious mind was running the show. I was allowing my limiting beliefs to run the show. And this could be applied to any other area of our life. So what I'm doing forward is changing my identity. Changing my subconscious beliefs.
Rewiring my subconscious mind to believe that pleasure and abundance and prosperity are safe. Not only safe, they are my birthright, that I am capable of holding it, that I'm not only capable of holding it, that it is on its way to me right here, right now, that I am an abundant human being. I am releasing the shame around money in general, because money is not moral. We were not born into this life knowing what money is. Money is something we created.
That's true.
It didn't exist when humans were, first evolved. We created it. It is not moral.
Kind of on the topic of what she just said, I just hear a lot of people use the phrase like, oh, it's an abundant resource. It comes back to me. Money flows to me. And I just always am of the belief of how. Have you planted some seeds? And if so, then yeah, maybe it does abundantly come to you, because there are people I know, like money gonna come rolling in just every which way because they've done things to make the money come. For example, maybe you're using your God-given talents in order to have some sort of business that ends up giving you money because you use your talents, and your talents end up giving you money. So now you have an abundance of money, but you're using something that God gave you to give you the money. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes when you see people with money that just comes flowing in for them, a lot of those people are planting seeds. They have like passive income streams. That means that they had to do some work up front. It didn't just flow in. When I hear the word like money comes to me, I'm almost thinking like money's falling out the sky. And that doesn't really happen for most people.
Most of this debt, this 40 number, I've been carrying around for a little while. I had to put a vet bill on a credit card, and that topped me over the 40 number, and that was my breaking point. And I was like,
yo, them vet bills, like, I don't know what she got, but vet bills be doing people in. I done heard of people paying like $4,000 because their dog was in there chewing on something they wasn't supposed to chew on. Like, these vet bills can get ridiculous.
Something has to change. And not, how can I work harder to make money to pay this off, but like, what do I need to look at within myself to prevent this from happening again?
Okay, yeah.
Why am I keeping myself in this cycle when I know it doesn't serve me? And I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from for me, is knowing that this wasn't what was best for me, and then I would take action anyway. And then I would avoid it. So I would avoid at all costs. Like, if I spent something with my credit card and I felt unrest in my body, avoid, suppress. When I would go to pay my credit card bills, like, just only look at the credit card statement for long enough to pay the bill, and then put it out of my mind, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid. Self-soothe in other ways, cope in other ways. So we're done with that. I no longer identify as somebody that uses a credit card. I no longer identify as somebody who operates from a place of lack, scarcity, not enoughness, unworthiness, none of that. I'm no longer a person that operates from a place of shame. This is my last buried treasure. It might not resonate for all of you, and that's okay, because the ones that are supposed to receive this message and who are feeling overwhelmed by their financial situation.
Hi, I'm professional pitchman Neil Patrick Harris. They say with great celebrity comes great responsibility, so I see it as my duty to find amazing products, put my name on them, and then take the credit. Hence, I give you my own coffee alternative.
I know that you're going to see this.
That's good.
And I'm here to tell you, it's not about continuously working harder. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs. It's about looking what's going on within you. What are your beliefs around money? What are your behavior patterns around money? What is your emotional response when you think about your financial situation? What's going on in that subconscious mind, and how can we make a change?
I respect this lady's honesty and her point of view, because it does take a lot of courage to come online to even talk about something that a lot of people just would never. From my point of view, nothing is wrong with looking at your past behaviors, which is what she was saying. Like, she's looking and assessing herself, which is great, because y'all, the data is there. Sometimes it's right in our face. And how many times do people use it? Like, they won't look at their bank statements. They won't look at the things that is telling them what is really going on, how you really do stuff in real life. And that is the data that you need in order to make the change. This is why I think it's so important that people have a budget, so they can understand how much money they are actually spending and what they are spending it on. Is it a necessity? Is it something that, hey, I just like this sort of stuff? Is it even enough to cover your basic living? Because a lot of people swipe credit cards because they actually don't even know how much money they're operating off of for their needs. Then you throw in the wants and everything is out of whack. Sometimes some people, even just off of their needs, might need to make more money.
We don't get to choose our childhoods. We don't get to choose the beliefs that form about ourselves in childhood. But when we are adults, there's self-responsibility, and it is up to us to create the change that we desire. So
that's true. It is up to you.
I know without a doubt that by the end of this year, that debt will be paid.
Good.
I release any worry or fear or stress about it at all, giving this to God, because I know that this is my path. I know that this is here to teach me something. I know I had to go down this journey to learn what I needed to learn, to get the medicine that I need to continue to step forth into this person that I came here to be. So I don't feel shame, and I don't want you to feel shame either. So if sharing my story helps one person, then it's worth it for me. 40. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. And I'm saying that publicly, so we're going to celebrate. I recently went public with the fact that I not only have $42,000 in credit card debt, but that I am filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And boy, have I triggered a lot of people's own shame that they're carrying within them. And I just want to reframe something for you really quickly, because I have been getting probably the most, judgment from the gym community that I used to be a part of, where I know there's a lot of mess happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of mess happening behind the scenes. And it's really interesting to me that people who live in glass houses will cast stones. But I just want to, do a little reframe, okay? Let's just look at this from a different point of view.
Okay. Let's see what's going on.
Imagine you are a man who's married, okay? You're a husband. And imagine that you cheat on your wife multiple times. You have an affair multiple times with the same woman, okay?
Don't do it.
And while that's happening behind the scenes, online, what are you posting once a week? I love my life. I love my wife, my beautiful wife. Thank you to my wife for cooking for me. Thank you to my wife for being supportive. So what you are presenting to the world is here, and what is actually occurring in your life is here.
Okay.
Now, I'm not judging you for engaging in the affair, because I recognize that things are very rarely black and white. There's almost always something occurring that is creating a desire for you to seek connection outside of your marriage.
It was just the analogy for me. Out of all the ones to use. But all right, I'm staying with her.
Okay? I don't judge. When I was 21 years old, I was involved in an affair. I recognize that things are not black and white. I'm not here to judge your actions. What I'm here to say is that it's really common and normal for what we present to the world to have a gap between that and where we are at, where we actually are in our life.
Yeah, I get what she's saying.
Now, what I'm doing is I presented myself to the world as here, as having my finances organized.
Right.
I took some pretty big risks last year, and I did some things that may have not been the most financially responsible.
Okay.
And I have my actual situation. I was actually carrying a lot of debt, and I've been carrying a lot of debt for a long time. Now I'm closing that gap publicly.
So she's pretty much saying she's being honest about what was really in the dark. She's bringing it to the light. Okay, I can understand what she's saying.
I'm closing that gap publicly. I'm airing it all out. I'm saying, you know what, you guys, this is where I presented. No, this is actually where I'm at.
Okay.
And that gap is disappearing. And I'm allowing you guys to witness me closing that gap in real time. Yes, my ego has presented itself. Yes, it has been messy. No, I have not navigated this perfectly, because this is a messy situation.
Okay.
To dismantle your ego like this, to take a sledgehammer to all of the walls that you had built up around your psyche as a form of protection, there's a lot of crumbling. And in the midst of the crumbling, there's a mess. I'm allowing you guys to see me close this gap in real time, because I want to help other people in the process, because I know a lot of people are struggling with finances, and I know a lot of people are experiencing shame around their finances. Most of us don't engage in self-sabotaging behavior, which overspending and getting yourself in massive amounts of debt is an active form of self-sabotage. Most of us don't engage in behaviors like that unless there is a deeper issue.
Honestly, I don't know, because I'm not a professional of the mind, but do I think that there is sometimes some deeper issues? Yeah, I do think so. I think a lot of people use their spending to cope with a lot of things.
Me being irresponsible with my finances, it doesn't impact anybody but me. I've never made this anybody else's issue. And some of your behaviors do impact other people. And I'm not casting stones. I'm not judging. I've never judged.
Okay.
Because I recognize that this human experience is not black and white. Here's another gap. The woman that presents herself online as being super confident, okay?
Okay.
But behind closed doors is struggling with an eating disorder, going through her husband's following and constantly assessing who he's following, is getting all sorts of plastic surgeries and whatnot because she's insecure, because her husband's been unfaithful. There's a gap. Most of us have a gap. Most of us are carrying a gap of some sort. I just made mine public, and I feel free. And yes, if I could go back, would I navigate some of those conversations slightly different? Yeah. But you know what? I just went through one of the most vulnerable, raw, messy, unmasking experiences of my entire life.
Okay.
And if that's how I had to handle it to get through it, like, that's how I had to handle it.
I'm trying to hear
People
out.
in glass houses, they should not throw stones.
Okay.
And while you're sitting behind your screen judging me, I'm sitting over here absolutely free because I don't have anything to hide anymore. And maybe that's what makes you feel uncomfortable with me.
I honestly felt like she was just being honest about her situation. And yeah, I was like, bravo, like you're helping people. But what, why the backlash? Here's how I feel about it. Nobody on earth is perfect. And for anybody to act as though we are, it's just unauthentic because we all battle something. Like her thing, what she was battling, her debt, and she felt shame about it. Like, I thought that was a kudos moment. Like, what happened? What did they say that made her react like this? It's really none of my business. But that's just the nosy Simone kind of peeking her head out right now. Ain't none of my business. I mean, at least she wasn't on here talking about, oh, like, I'm just going to spin, and who cares, and forget my retirement, and girl math, and I'm just a girl. Like, she could have went that route, and I personally don't like when people go that route online, or, like, act like debt and credit cards and buy now, pay later ain't a big deal, because it is. She could have hit us with the money ain't real, but she didn't do that. Regardless of the negativity, this sort of video does help people, and that's... That's what I like.
Well, I filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy today.
Okay.
Official. We're going to need an emotional support beverage on for this one.
What you got, some matcha?
And before anybody comes at me, this was gifted to me.
Y'all, I know that green when I see it. That's a good old matcha latte. That's my favorite drink. I have one every day.
We filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and I'm just feeling so many emotions this morning. I'm feeling so much excitement and gratitude for the fact that I'm going to be able to release this energetic load that I've been carrying around for most of my 20s and be able to start fresh. And I'm so grateful that this opportunity exists.
Okay.
And simultaneously, I am feeling a lot of grief as well, a lot of sadness that this is the position that I'm in. I'm feeling embarrassment that this is the position that I'm in.
Oh no, don't feel that.
I never thought in a million years, you guys, that this would be where I ended up. And yesterday I was feeling a lot of just really heavy about the entire experience or the entire situation. And I know I come on here and I put on a brave face and I'm like, yes, I'm so thrilled for this. And you guys, I am. But the human experience is darkness and light. And now I take full responsibility for all of my actions that have led me to this point. Nobody forced me to spend outside of my means. Nobody forced me to rack up credit cards. Nobody forced me to open up those credit cards. But spending was one way that I was really trying to feel better when I was coping during a very, very difficult season in my life. And last night, my dreams really showed me how everything is so intertwined. So when I was 21 years old, I was groomed by a man almost 15 years older than me that I worked with. I was extremely vulnerable and extremely desperate for love. All I wanted was to be loved. I didn't grow up in an environment where I felt a lot of love, and I was willing to accept it, really, from anywhere that I could get it. And I ended up entering into a relationship with this man, and it actually ultimately was an affair. He was still in a committed relationship, and I was so desperate for love that I was willing to accept those breadcrumbs, in all honesty. I take full ownership for the fact that I was in that relationship, similar to saying I never thought I would file bankruptcy. I never in a million years thought I would be somebody that would engage in an affair. I've always said, like, that's something that I would never do, and I never understood how people ended up in those kind of situations until I was in it myself. What I will tell you is the amount of self-hatred that I had for myself and the amount of disgust and shame that I felt from engaging in that relationship really, really was something that I internalized. And I then spent the next almost 5 years dating this man, and it was an extremely unhealthy, toxic environment. You can ask me, Lana, well, why didn't you leave? But it's just really not that simple. And if you've ever been in a relationship that's not healthy, you get it. And if you don't get it, I just don't know if I can explain it to you in a way that you're going to understand, and that's okay.
I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of people get it. I think a lot of people that have been in some relationships that you just look back and be like, what the heck?
A good chunk of the debt load that I'm currently carrying is from that time period that I spent in that relationship with that man almost 15 years older than me. It was a relationship that did not have any safety, and I was really trying to feel better. And one way that I coped and attempted to feel better was through spending money. I spent a lot of money on clothes. I spent a lot of money on cosmetic procedures. You can tell that I, at one point in my life, have received Botox and filler. It's not something that I have spent any money on in the last couple of years, but there was a time period in my life in my mid-20s where I was willing to try anything to feel better. And I thought, okay, maybe if I just change my physical appearance, then I'll like myself. But as most of us know, that's not actually how it works. So, and you know, a lot of people respond to really unhealthy and toxic situations by coping in some way. It might be overeating. You might gain some weight.
Yeah.
It might be substances. You might be drinking too much or smoking too much or whatever that looks like. We very much normalize the overconsumption of other things.
I'll just be honest. I struggle, like, whenever I'm going through some stuff, one place you're going to catch me is eating. You're going to catch me eating. I remember when my dad passed away, I gained so much weight. I lost a lot of weight at first, but then I gained a lot of weight because I love to eat, and that was like my coping mechanism. That's why I say, like, I might not be able to resonate with every little thing somebody says or what they've done or what they've gone through, but I can get where she's coming from. I think sometimes it's hearing other people's stories and then hearing the stuff that they say. I can put myself in that predicament where maybe I didn't go through the same situation as you, but have I felt that sort of pain before? Yeah. Have I ate things before because I didn't feel good in that moment in time or I was like down? Yeah. Was I grieving and eating? Yeah. Did I spend a lot of money while I was doing it? Yep. And I think she's coming from a place that is very like relatable. And a lot of people have struggled with the things she's talking about now. We might not have all done the same, like, play-by-play what she did, but yeah, I've been there before, depressed and, like, spending money on food. Yeah.
There's still so much stigma around the overconsumption of money or spending, and ultimately, that was one of the ways that I coped. I forgive myself fully, and so clearly last night I was shown how all of this is so intertwined and how, you know, I really was just doing my best to get through a very, very difficult situation.
Yeah.
And I know that there are going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, you engaged in an affair and you filed bankruptcy. Yeah, I did. I'm not proud of either of those things. I'm not proud of the fact that I'm sitting here filing bankruptcy today. No part of me is proud of it.
Okay.
And this would be so much easier for me to just handle in silence, but God is very clearly showing me that it is part of my journey to share this story with you.
Okay.
You might not resonate to the bankruptcy part. Maybe you resonate with the credit card debt. Maybe you resonate with just operating from such a deep place of shame for so long that you got yourself into some sort of hole.
Y'all, I have not seen this clip before, so I think it's kind of funny that she just said something very similar to what I just brought up. But yeah, a lot of times you have to remember, like, we all are battling something. Like, what is your thing? And maybe nobody knows what your thing is. I'm telling you, my thing is when I get sad, I'm eating. I'm going to Chick-fil-A. I'm going to Marco's Pizza. I'm going to get pizza. And I like enchiladas. I like Mexican food. I like Thai food. I'm eating. Jersey Mike's chicken strips, chicken burgers, fries on the side, and give me no condiments because I don't like none of that. Like, don't give me no sauce. But yes, we all have our thing. We all cope differently. So who am I to like judge somebody on how they cope? And like, but I'm just saying, a lot of the ways that people cope affect you financially, and then that ends up putting you in such a bad situation where then you're making it worse. It's like now you're coping for something that happened in your life, but now you have financial strain, you have financial stress. That is one of the reasons why I like talking about these sort of topics on my channel, because I know that this is what people do. A lot of people think that they can spin their way out of being sad, that there is enough of something that they can buy to make them feel better. And to be honest, it don't work that way. And a lot of people have spent a lot of money, including myself, doing this. It don't work. If it worked, please point me to the one item that anybody has bought on this earth where they said, this was just enough and I'll never buy nothing else again because this one thing alone is going to make me happy. And I don't think it exists. I don't think there is a thing that is going to singularly make you happy, because I think we as humans are never satisfied. We always got to have the next thing. How many people you've seen do hauls on TikTok and they say they shopaholics or whatever, or they just like buying stuff? The last 9 hauls that they did wasn't enough. They still doing more, and they're going to continue to do more. So if you think that these products or whatever it is that you're buying was ever enough, it's not. You got to seek something deeper, in my opinion. And it's not going to be nothing here on earth. That's just my point of view. Now, you can disagree with it. I just feel like nothing here on earth that you ever going to be satisfied with, that you won't never need to do nothing. I never know more. You're going to need something deeper than products. You're going to need something deeper than food. You're going to need something deeper than whatever it is. And it's like a lot of the stuff that you find peace in is free. It's wild, but it's true. There ain't going to be enough Lululemon sets. There ain't going to be enough purses. There ain't going to be enough perfume, there ain't gonna be enough Sephora, there ain't gonna be enough of any of that. What really ends up happening is you stay on this vicious cycle of thinking that you can buy these things and it's going to equate you being happy or get you out of whatever sadness you're feeling, and you just keep on doing it. And while you're doing it, these companies make a lot of money off of you because they want you in this cycle of spending and spending and spending and not understanding that you're doing it because you have not quenched your thirst for either grief or whatever feelings that you're combating or not feeling good enough, whatever it may be. And they use that for their own gain. I'm not against buying things, by the way. I just think that when you're doing it because you're trying to compensate for something else, you'll just keep doing it. And you'll run up credit doing it. You'll say, I need to do this because I need to be happy. And it's like, how many times you heard somebody say, I need to do this, and like, I need to be happy too. And then while they're doing it, they're putting themselves more in debt.
Can you imagine doing this?
Would you like to receive a discount or pay the full price?
Full price. Honey,
in about a year from now, they're going to forget about whatever it is that was going to make them happy, and they're going to be doing something else that's going to make them happy again, and then they're putting themselves more in debt. It's a cycle, and it never stops, and this is why I like to talk about it.
It could be a whole when it comes to weight. You could have been coping with eating, and now you've got 100, 200 pounds to lose, whatever that looks like.
That happened to me.
The medicine is just in accepting where you currently are at and having grace and compassion and love for yourself and loving where you are at, regardless if you like it or not. When you can just learn to accept where you're at, I promise so much begins to shift and change. So I never in a million years thought I would sit here in any area of my life. I never for sure thought that I would come on the internet and talk about this and say, I filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy today. For me, this is about the closing of not just a chapter of financial self-sabotage, but this is also about closing the chapter of just my 20s when I was so desperately trying to survive and get through.
What do that do? Like the little odd thing. I don't know what that does, but I see a lot of people use it.
I don't know if any of you or all of you can relate to this, but if you had a really traumatic and chaotic childhood and you enter your 20s just a shell of a human being, just doing anything that you can to survive, you make decisions that your current self, your healed and healthy self, would not make. And I think it's so important to remember that we cannot judge or compare ourselves to the people that have never experienced operating in survival mode. I know I'm opening myself up to the flow of so much abundance by just facing this head on. Filing bankruptcy might not resonate with all of you, but unless you've been in this situation, I think it's really easy to cast stones.
Yeah.
Today, although it's not discharged, just the filing alone was the closing of a very big chapter. To me, this is mopping up the last mess that I was dealing with from surviving in my 20s. And all I have to say is that I love myself. I forgive myself. I thank every prior version of me who did everything that she could do to keep me going, to keep me surviving.
So it was a lot in this video, y'all. I want to know what y'all think down below. Do you resonate with anything that she said as far as her $42,000 in debt? Have you ever had to file for bankruptcy, or is it something that you've ever considered? Have you ever found yourself in a space where you are just constantly spending because maybe you're going through like a bad time or you're trying to compensate in some other areas of your life? One thing I do know is we all definitely cope differently in life, and maybe you can't resonate with each and
I would highly recommend to Dr. Fischler. The entire procedure was just flawless. And it was really the first time that
and him and my daughter just came by. That's kind of why we have this.
Imagine a child locked up in a makeshift prison.
Now this is I guess affirmation. What do you feel like? I guess so. Let's do some affirmation. Why not? Good morning, everyone.
Let me ask you something. What comes to mind when you hear the word success? A big house? A fancy car? Millions in the bank? Society has trained us to believe that success is measured by numbers. How much money you have, how many followers you can get, how many awards are attached to your name. But let's be real, if that was all it took to be successful, why do so many people who have all those things still feel empty inside? Why do so many people who have made it still wrestle with depression, anxiety, and a deep sense of unfulfillment? See, real success isn't about stacking wealth. It's not just about climbing the ladder. It's about what's at the top of that ladder. Because if you get to the top, and realized your ladder was leaning against the wrong wall, what was it all for? If you're making more money but losing yourself, your peace, your purpose, can you really call that success? Success isn't about the things you acquire. It's about the life you build. It's about waking up every day with purpose, passion, and a reason to push forward. It's about being able to look yourself in the mirror and respect the person staring back at you. It's about creating something that matters, something bigger than yourself. Because listen, what good is a full bank account if your soul is bankrupt? Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, if I just had more money, I'd be happy? But then you get the money, and the happiness lasts for a moment before you start chasing the next thing. It's a never-ending cycle. Because fulfillment doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what you do with what you have. If success was just about wealth, some of the richest people in the world wouldn't be the most miserable. Some of the wealthiest people wouldn't be drowning in addictions, trying to fill a void that money can't touch. Real success is when your life aligns with your purpose. It's when you wake up excited, knowing you're doing what you were created to do. It's when your work doesn't just make you money, it makes a difference. It's when you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not, just to fit into a definition of success that was never meant for you in the first place. Too many people are out here trying to look successful instead of being successful. They got the cars, the designer clothes, the Instagram highlights, but behind closed doors, they're lost. Because success isn't about perception. It's not about how many people think you've made it. It's about whether you actually feel like you're living a life that matters. See, success isn't just about reaching a goal. It's about who you become in the process. Anybody can get rich. Anybody can gain status. But if you don't grow in wisdom and character and purpose, you're just a wealthy, well-known version of the same empty person you were before. What's the point of having everything if you don't even know who you are? What's the point of winning the world if you lose your soul? You've got to redefine success for yourself. You've got to stop letting the world tell you what success looks like and start asking yourself what success feels like. Because real success isn't external, it's internal. It's peace, it's joy. It's waking up and knowing that what you do matters, that your life has meaning beyond a paycheck. It's looking at your family, your relationships, your impact, and knowing you're building something that lasts. I don't care how much money you make. If your family doesn't even recognize you anymore because you're always working, that's not success. I don't care how many awards you win. If you can't even enjoy your life because you're always chasing the next thing, that's not success. I don't care how many people praise you online. If you don't even like yourself when you're alone, that is not success. You have to shift your mindset. You have to start thinking about legacy, about purpose, about impact. Because when it's all said and done, nobody's going to care about how much money you have in your bank account. They're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember the lives you touched, the people you helped, the difference you made. So don't get it twisted. Real success isn't about what you have. It's about who you are. It's about walking in purpose. It's about fulfillment. It's about waking up every day and knowing that your life means something beyond a paycheck. Because when you get to that place where your success isn't just measured by wealth, but by impact, by joy, by purpose, that's when you truly made it. Let's be real. Too many people are out here living for applause instead of purpose. They're chasing validation, chasing likes, chasing approval, trying to fit into some version of success that was never meant for them. They're so focused on being seen that they forget to actually become someone worth seeing. But let me tell you.
When you have Fios Home Internet, you can get entertainment you already love for less, like Netflix and Max.
Tell you something. Popularity and purpose are not the same thing. You weren't put on this earth to be liked. You weren't put here just to impress people. You were created for something bigger than opinions, something greater than trends. And until you start living for that something, you will always feel empty because external validation will never fill an internal void. See, the problem is most people spend their whole lives trying to be accepted instead of being aligned. They want to fit in. They want to be liked. They want to be the one that everybody praises. But what happens when the applause stops? What happens when the likes go away? What happens when the people you were trying so hard to impress move on and suddenly you're left alone with yourself? If your success is built on validation, then your failure is guaranteed, because the moment people's opinions change, your sense of worth will crumble. That's why you can't build your life on what other people think. You have to build it on purpose. You have to know who you are, know why you're here, know what you were created to do. Because when you move with purpose, you don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need people to clap for you, because you're not doing it for them in the first place. Too many people waste their gift trying to be what the world wants them to be instead of becoming what they were destined to be. They hold back their talents because they're afraid of criticism. They water themselves down because they don't want to stand out too much. They shrink, they settle, they compromise, all for the sake of being liked. But listen, being liked is not the goal. Being effective is. Being respected is. Look around. How many people are successful in the eyes of the world, but miserable in their own? How many people have the status, the following, the recognition, but behind closed doors, they feel lost, they feel fake, they feel like they don't even know themselves anymore? That's what happens when you live for validation instead of vision. That's what happens when you let the world tell you who you should be instead of listening to the call inside you. You have to understand something. When you live in your purpose, not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to understand you. Some people are going to criticize you, reject you, doubt you. But you have to ask yourself, are you willing to lose yourself just to be accepted by people who don't even know their own direction? Are you willing to betray your own calling just to fit in with a crowd that's going nowhere? At some point, you have to make a choice. Do you want to be popular or do you want to be purposeful? Because you can't chase both. One will always cost you the other. Let me tell you something about people. You can do everything right and they will still find something to criticize. You can work your hardest, stay in your lane, stay focused, and someone will still have an opinion about how you should be living your life. So why are you wasting energy trying to please people who will never be satisfied? Why are you spending your life trying to prove yourself to people who don't even care about your purpose? The truth is, when you stop living for applause and start living for alignment, everything changes. You stop caring about trends and start focusing on truth, because your vision becomes your fuel. You stop shrinking to fit in because you realize that you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out. And here's the thing, when you walk in purpose, the right people will find you. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to beg for their approval. They'll see your life, they'll see your dedication, they'll see that you're moving differently, and the people who respect purpose will recognize it in you. But first, you have to stop chasing popularity and start chasing the real reason you're here. Listen, I need you to hear me on this. You are not here to impress. You are here to impact. You are not here to be liked. You are here to lead. You are not here to conform. You are here to create. So stop living for likes. Stop drinking for acceptance. Stop worrying about who approves of you, because purpose doesn't require permission. When you finally step into who you were meant to be, you'll realize that the only validation you ever needed was your own commitment to your calling. And when that happens, that's real success. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to reach the top. Everybody wants to live the dream. But you know what separates the ones who actually get there from the ones who just talk about it? One word: growth. See, real success isn't about staying comfortable. It's not about doing what's easy, what's familiar, what feels safe. Success is about expansion. It's about constantly pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. It's about refusing to settle for good enough when you know you were built for greatness. The truth is, most people want success, but they don't want to grow. They want the rewards, but they don't want the resistance. They want to elevate, but they don't want the effort. And that's why so many people stay stuck, because they choose comfort over calling, safety over success, convenience over commitment. But let me tell you something. Nothing great ever happens in your comfort zone. You think you're going to grow by doing the same thing you've always done? You think you're going to reach new levels by staying where it's comfortable? No, growth requires struggle. It requires discomfort. It requires stretching yourself past the limits you thought existed. Because listen, every time you level up, you're going to face resistance. Every time you step into something greater, you're going to feel pressure. That's the price of growth. That's the cost of success. See, everybody wants the prize, but very few people are willing to go through the process. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the sweat. They want the victory, but they don't want the battle. But let me tell you something. The process is where you become the person capable of handling the success you're asking for. The process is where you develop the mindset, the discipline, the strength to sustain the greatness you're working toward. Think about it. If success came easy, everybody would have it. If greatness required no struggle, everybody would be great. But that's not how it works. The struggle is what separates the real from the fake. The grind is what filters out the people who just kind of want it from the ones who are willing to do whatever it takes. So the question is, how bad do you want it? Because if you're not willing to grow, you're not willing to stretch, if you're not willing to get uncomfortable, then you're not really serious about success. You're just interested in it. And being interested is not enough. You have to commit to growth even when it hurts. You have to commit to growth even when it's inconvenient. You have to commit to growth even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because the truth is, success doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It comes from what you do consistently day after day, even when nobody's watching. The problem is most people give up in the growth phase. They start feeling the pressure, they start feeling the discomfort, and instead of pushing through it, they retreat. They go back to what's easy, back to what's familiar, back to the same old patterns that have kept them stuck. But listen, the pressure isn't there to break you, it's there to build you. It's there to shape you, refine you, prepare you for the next level. See, every great person you admire, every successful entrepreneur, every world-class athlete, every leader who made an impact, they all had to go through the fire. They all had moments where they wanted to quit, moments where they doubted themselves, moments where they didn't see the results right away. But the difference is they didn't run from the discomfort. They leaned into it. They understood that growth isn't supposed to feel good. Growth isn't supposed to be easy. Growth is supposed to challenge you, stretch you, force you to become someone stronger than you were before. So the next time you feel the pressure, the next time you feel like giving up, the next time you start doubting whether it's worth it, I need you to remind yourself that this is part of the process. This is what it takes. This is the path to greatness. And if you want real success, you don't avoid the discomfort, you embrace it. Blue, you use it, you let it fuel you. Because at the end of the day, comfort is the enemy of success. The people who stay comfortable never grow. The people who refuse to stretch never elevate. But the ones who are willing to go through the fire, the ones who are willing to push past their limits, those are the ones who make history. Those are the ones who change the game. Those are the ones who create real success.
Success isn't about what you get, it's about what you give. It's about the lives you touch, the people you lift up, the difference you make in the world. Too many people are chasing achievements, chasing trophies, chasing numbers, thinking that's what success is. But let me tell you something, if your success is only about you, if it's only about what you can gain, then you're doing it wrong. Because real success is about impact. Think about it. What good is all the money, all the fame, all the accolades if at the end of the day, nobody's life is better because you existed? What good is reaching the top if you never reached back to pull somebody else up? If success was only about what you have, then why do so many people with everything still feel empty? It's because fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation, it comes from contribution. See, society has tricked people into thinking success is about status. They tell you, get the job, get the car, get the house, get the recognition. But what they don't tell you is that none of that will mean anything if your life doesn't have purpose. None of that will bring you joy if you're not helping someone else rise. Because the greatest measurement of success isn't your bank account, it's the number of people